Hello. Well, I want to talk about the future. Brendan O'Neill wrote an article with reference to, it was in Spiked, by the way, with reference to Muslim fanatics bombing the church in Sri Lanka. And he pointed out that the most horrific thing about it was that it was a deliberate act aimed at killing children. It wasn't just accidental killing of people that some of whom just happened to be children. The murderers had chosen that time and that place because they knew it would be full of children. He writes, details like this demand an urgent and serious assessment of the phenomenon, of Islamist terrorism. Because this terrorism, even by the historical standards of terrorism, is peculiarly hateful, misanthropic, and barbaric. What drives someone to detonate a suicide belt while standing among children? And he then goes on to list a whole lot of terrorist acts deliberately targeting children throughout the Muslim as well as the Christian world. It's a mindset that he says has no code or rule or even basic human impulse that says to these groups, don't do that, not here, not a Sunday school. And he then quotes a New York Times article from 2005 titled The Mystery of the Insurgency by a commentator called James Bennett, in which Bennett speculates on what the strategy was to this violence. What purpose was it supposed to accomplish? And the conclusion was that there was no strategy. It was death for death's sake. O'Neill continues by defining this as a new barbarism. So imagine a room full of children. How could you do it? O'Neill didn't reach any conclusions beyond that, but I've been thinking about it. And it occurred to me that if you could cold-bloodedly go into a church, a place of worship, a church full of peaceful people who are doing no harm and are not armed or in any position to fight back, and you go in there with the intention of killing them all, you haven't got any heart. But if most of those people in the church are children, then you haven't got any hope. And by not having any hope, I mean just that. You have no hope for your own future or for the future of humanity. Because while burning down churches and shattering ancient statues with hammers destroys our past, the past of all humanity, killing our children destroys our future, the future of all of us. And it's not only the children of infidels, which these, which these monsters destroy. They kill even their own children. So far as I understand it, when the colleagues of the Sri Lankan bombers were tracked down by police, they blew themselves up with their own kids. Even the wives did that. Now, I can imagine a mother blowing herself up with her children if she thinks her children will be cruelly treated, enslaved perhaps, or tortured. But however much those terrorists might have considered the Sri Lankan police to be terrible people, they knew that even if they themselves were captured, the children would be reasonably well treated. They wouldn't be enslaved or imprisoned. They'd probably be given to relatives to bring up. There was no reason at all to put an end to their lives. So how could a mother do that? And the only answer is that she could see no future for them in this world. Even in Britain, the Pakistani community insists on continuing their practice of marrying their cousins, even though they know it's handing to their children a legacy of handicaps and birth defects, which means there is no future for them. I've made videos before about the fact that Islam is a failure, and deep down most educated Muslims know that. Remember those Sri Lankan bombers? They were all quite well off. and well educated, as were the 9/11 murderers and the guys who did the 7/7 bombings in London. They were educated enough to see where their religion was going. That is, into a black hole of nihilism, but not sufficiently brave enough to face up to that and ditch the whole philosophy. And then it occurred to me that they're not the only people who can see no future. We've people here in the West who've convinced themselves that the world is about to end. I mean, just look at this green revolution or whatever, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez coming up with the Green New Deal, which she knows will finish Western civilization. And these people are not acting rationally. And although they're not blowing up their own children, they're cutting out the middleman and not having any children at all. Just to finish off, I want to point out a common theme about our leaders. First of all, take a look at this lot here. Here's Theresa May, our own dear leader. And you see here, she's married, but no children. Now, here's Angela Merkel, married, divorced, remarried, no children. How about Emmanuel Macron of France? Let's have a look at him. Married, no children. And then Stefan Löfven, Prime Minister of feminist Sweden. Married, no children. And finally, Jean-Claude Juncker, President of the European Commission. Married, no children. Mind you, I consider that a blessing. And these are the leaders who seem most keen to upend European civilization, and who tell us to be tolerant of rape and murders and burning cars in the street. Then I looked at the leaders who are the most antagonistic to the new culturally diverse and dangerous Europe of mass immigration, mass migration, and the repurposing of Notre Dame. People who insist on preserving their cultural heritage and trying to guarantee their children's safety. So what are these people? Here's Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Let's see his family. Married and 5 children. All right, now how about Poland, which has embarrassed the European Union with its nationalism, okay? Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. My apologies to any Pole who's offended by my pronunciation. Let's see, he's married, 4 children. And now for Donald Trump, the arch-fascist himself. Married 3 times, not what we call a keeper. How many children? 5. And these last 3 are all called fascists by the left. Now, many of you know I have a lot to do with the English language, but this is the first time I've known that a synonym for self-preservation is the word fascism. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe, and if you wish to donate, click the subscribe star link where you can make a one-off payment or set up a regular contribution, or I have a PayPal account at grannyopteryx@gmail.com. Till next time.